This episode may contain content of a graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against adults, children, and animals. Listener discretion is advised. Hi everyone, I'm Talia.
And I'm Tanya.
And together we are Crimes and Consequences, a true crime podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Crimes and Consequences.
Welcome back.
Yes, I'm here with my lovely co-host, Talia. And I have a crazy story to tell you all today. But before I get into the story, if you could hit the like or subscribe button here on YouTube or whatever podcast app you're listening to, that would be wonderful. So, Talia, are you ready?
Yeah, but I wanna just say how excited I am that we're on True Crime Daily.
It's very exciting.
Channel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tell your friends.
Please. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you a story. It takes place in Oslo, Norway.
Okay.
On May 31st, 1995. It is a beautiful sunny day in Oslo. Tourists are, going up and down the street in this historic city. And there's a Plaza Hotel, and it's a very nice hotel. Like political dignitaries stay there, celebrities.
Very fancy.
Yes, very, very, very fancy. This is a very high-end hotel, so it has a constant stream of guests, as you can imagine. Businessmen, rich and famous.
Businesswomen.
Yes, businesswomen, obviously. So the hotel staff is very accustomed to just seeing, they don't react. They see all kinds of people. And this dark-haired woman comes in, and her name is Jennifer Fergate, or Fairgate, because we're not sure. Because she initially reserves the hotel as Jennifer Fairgate, but then she signs it Jennifer Fergate. So I'm just going to go
last names get confusing.
Yes, I'm just going to go with Jennifer Fergate, and this is going to make a lot of sense as I get into the story.
Okay.
She checks in on May 31st, and she has scheduled to stay to check out until on June 3rd of 1995.
Got it.
So that afternoon, June 3rd, when she's supposed to be checking out, the desk clerk at the Plaza Hotel noticed that, and she's in room 2805, that she hasn't checked out as she originally planned. There's also no credit card on file for room 2805. So the hotel is, this person has stayed for several days and they haven't even paid and they haven't come to check out. So
how did she get away with that? It was 1995.
An oversight at the front desk. So they send a message to her room through the television that says, please contact the cashier.
Through the television?
Through the television.
Oh.
They had this technology back then. So moments later, a message comes back and it says, okay. The clerk would have left it at that and waited for the occupants of 2805 to make their way to the front desk, like sheepishly, like, oops, sorry.
Oops,
but
again.
Then they looked at the notes and they noticed that 2 other messages had been sent to the same hotel room, 2805, that same morning, saying, please contact the cashier. And they got back the same message, okay, twice. So now the front desk is like, okay, they're overstaying their welcome.
They're acting like they're going to cooperate and come and leave and check out and pay.
Right.
But they're not doing anything.
And they're not vacating the room. So they decided, we're going to check into this a little bit more. So the clerk on duty, her name was Evie. She scanned the booking information and she sees, okay, the room is in Jennifer Fairgate. Her date of birth is August 23rd, 1973. She gave an address that was in Verlaine, Belgium. She left a contact phone number, and she said she worked for a company named Service. And
Service?
Service.
Oh, Service.
Service.
Got it.
It is a Belgian company. The information that she provided seemed legitimate, okay.
Except for that credit card missing.
Right. So the day is wearing on, mind you, because I think checkout is probably a little bit later. So shortly before 7:50 p.m., the front desk clerk, Evie, she sent a security guard
That's pretty late for checkout.
I know. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, you usually have to be out of there by like
3 days.
Yeah, you got to be out of there by like 11 a.m.
Yeah.
So she says, to the security guard, you need to go there and you need to either get them out of the room or have them give you a credit card, do something. Okay. So after a short ride on the elevator, I guess it's not short because he's going to the 28th floor.
Wow.
And there's 37 floors in this hotel. He's going through the corridors looking for a room 2805. When he gets to the room, he said like just a weird feeling overcame him.
A sixth sense?
Yeah, sixth sense. The do not disturb sign was still on the door. And according to housekeeping, it had been there since Jennifer had checked in on May 31st. So the security guard gives 2 little knocks at the door. And, he's shouting through the door. He tells Jennifer why he's there. Stands back and waits for a moment. And thoughts just are going through his mind. Of course, because am I going to have a confrontation?
Right.
Is this person going to be compliant?
What am I going to find when I open this door?
Right. Like, am I going to have a problem?
Or a body?
Right. Well, seconds later, a single gunshot rings out of the room. So panicked, the security guard's like, oh, shit.
Oh, shit. I'm getting the fuck out of here. This party is over.
Right. He tries the door. Of course, it's locked.
Has he tried the door?
I don't know. Maybe it's unlocked, but it's not.
Okay.
So not wanting to panic any
I would
guest.
panic. Hello?
He doesn't want to panic the guests. He doesn't want to panic the other employees at the hotel because he has a 2-way radio on him where he could call. He instead decides to go back to the elevator, make his way down to the bottom, and go to the security office instead of calling for help, like I said. He immediately told his boss about what happened. Like, I heard this gunshot. So they called emergency services, which is 112 in Norway. The security guard and his boss, then head back upstairs to room 2805.
What about just the police? There's a gunshot.
Well, they did call the police, yes, the emergency services, yes.
Right.
So they're going to...
I wouldn't go back up there.
They're there.
I don't get paid enough. I'm just a little security guard.
They've got a gun, right?
No thanks.
Somebody had a gun, right? So they decide to go back up there for whatever reason. And the amount of time from when the security guard first left the room, like when he heard the gunshot, to when he went downstairs, they called and they came back up was about 15 minutes. So there was about 15 minutes where, the room, I guess, unattended. That's not really the right word, but you don't know what happened in the room after that. Okay. So they do not wait for the police to arrive. They instead, the head of security uses his master key to gain entry into the room.
Okay.
And what he found
brave.
just made his blood run cold. Lying face up on the bed was a body of a woman who was estimated to be between the ages of 21 to 35. She had short black hair, blue eyes. She was about 5'2" and weighed about 140 pounds. And when she checked in, she had stated she was 21 because she gave that date of birth.
That's right.
She had died due to a single gunshot wound to the forehead made using a Browning 9mm pistol. And the way her body was laying on the bed, her legs were hanging off the bed. So she had like she was sitting up on the edge of the bed maybe. And then the gun was resting in her right hand on her chest. The hotel door had been locked from the inside, just to let you know. There was a double lock on the inside. So
like a chain?
There was, like a bolt, the deadbolt, and then I think there was another lock.
Thing,
yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
Something like that.
They were able to get in with the key card like security was. So there wasn't a chain. There wasn't any indication like something had been broken or like that thing you...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, swing over.
Like, whatever that's called.
But it was described as a double lock from the inside.
All right.
So police arrive, and to them, all signs point to suicide, which is, I guess, not uncommon in hotel rooms. So the officers began looking around to see if they can find anything interesting that maybe would help them identify the woman. As I told you, the shot rang out at a little after 7:50 p.m. And as police are investigating the scene, they realized that shot was probably the second of 2 shots that were shot in that room.
How did nobody hear it's a hotel.
know.
What are soundproof walls?
I thought the same thing because this story is very, very weird. Just to let everybody know, like it's an odd story. There was a practice shot, it seems, that was shot through a pillow into the bed.
Oh.
And that shot was beside Jennifer's body, like possibly a test shot to see if the pillow would work as a silencer. Maybe. So maybe that's why nobody heard it. I don't know. I wasn't there, but
I mean, if it doesn't work as a silencer, then you've just kind of fucked yourself because you just fired
and
a gun in a hotel room.
But the weird thing about it is she didn't. If she shot herself, she's not like she put a pillow on her face and then put the gun toward her forehead, like through the pillow. So I don't understand why the test shot was even made.
Yeah,
if it was in fact a test shot.
That doesn't make any sense.
But they find the bullet. So moments later, after doing this test shot, Jennifer supposedly turned the gun on herself, shooting herself once in the forehead. And supposedly what she did was she turned the gun around, like instead of shooting herself like you would normally think, like
in the temple or
she
something.
Supposedly did it like this and then used her thumb to pull the trigger and then, you know, fall backwards.
That doesn't make sense.
It sure doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me, but the bullet that killed her traveled through her head and it ended up being found in the concrete floor under the bed.
What?
I know.
Okay.
All
right.
So
I'm with
if
you.
she had shot herself
that
by
doesn't make any
sitting up,
sense.
it absolutely doesn't make any sense. So if she'd shot herself sitting up, you would think the bullet moves pretty quickly.
Yes.
It's not going to turn and fall into the bed. You think it would be in the wall behind her.
Was
right?
that the test bullet? Maybe the test.
No, they find both of them.
Okay.
They find both of them, like in the either the bed, the mattress, or they find it in the concrete floor underneath her. So I don't know, but you know they were like, okay, this door's been locked from the inside. You know, they believe, investigators believe it's a suicide. So they treat it.
They didn't do a thorough crime scene analysis?
No. And I'll tell you exactly what they find. They do search the room and they, even though, you know, they believe they're dealing with a suicide, but they do search the room. First, though, they realize what she's wearing, and what she's wearing is a long black blouse. She has silk underwear on, and they're not regular underwear. They're kind of like shorts, like silk shorts. And then she's got stockings on. She's got high heels on, black high heels. And as they're looking through her clothing, and there is some clothing that's found in the room, all the tags have been removed from all of her clothes, except for a jacket that I'll tell you a little bit about. So they can't even tell where the clothes were made. They do not find any ID.
That's what I was just going to ask.
No, there's not a passport. There's not any kind of ID. No form. There's not a credit card. There's not a purse.
Wouldn't she have to give her ID to check in?
Yes, you would think, but it didn't happen. So police said, okay, they can't find anything to identify who this woman is. They can't use her clothes because they've all been, the tags have all been removed. Because there was a sweater, there was a trench coat, there was some shirts. There was a gray blazer that had its label intact. That was the only item that had the clothing tag intact, and it was made in Germany by the designer René Lazard.
Don't know,
but I think it's a well-known brand. Investigators speculate the labels were removed, or they weren't removed from that particular piece of clothing because they think to remove it would have ruined the garment somehow.
Well,
maybe the
why does
lining.
it matter?
Well, you can't wear it if it's ruined.
Well, you can't wear it if you're dead.
Well, I know, but all of her clothes.
Okay, so they're thinking, okay.
They're like, this is just strange. Because...
Very strange.
Yeah. They found 2 bags in the room. There was an attaché case or a briefcase. And then they found a kind of, not a duffel bag, but it's kind of like a soft bag like that. And the only thing beside the clothing that they found in one of the bags is a bottle of men's cologne. And then in the briefcase, they found several bullets, like I want to say 24 or 25 bullets for that gun that was used in her death. And the clip of the gun was still full, except for the 2 shots that had been fired.
Did they find food? Which you said it was a couple days.
I'll tell you a little bit about it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm jumping ahead.
So, what they didn't find though was any pants or skirts. Like everything that was there for her to wear went on her upper body. And I mean, she did have clothes.
Because she had to walk in with pants, though.
Yeah, she walked in.
I would hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. And she had coats. I think there was 2 jackets, and besides the blazer. So everything else was for her upper body. There was, a blouse. There was undergarments. So it just seems odd. Like the police were like
underwear.
Yeah. No, there were no underwear.
Oh, undergarments, just
like bras. I think there was a bustier or 2.
Oh.
And just those silk shorts that I told you about. Like no underwear, which none for like a 3-day stay.
Yeah. What woman?
I don't know. And there were no socks. There was just those pair of stockings that she had on. So there's no pajamas. There's no, what I'm telling you,
is all there was.
All there was. Okay. They didn't find any toiletries either. There was no makeup. Even though she had makeup on, there was no makeup. There was no face creams, hair products, shampoo, nothing. They found nothing that she would have used in her stay.
It's not making any sense.
I know. Isn't that wonderful?
You're going to have to
I love mysteries. So, it was so. And like I had told you, she wrote on her card when she got there that she was from Belgium. And, not finding any IDs or anything, police were wondering, she had to have come with an ID if she was from Belgium because she's going to Norway and she would have needed it to get into the country. And it's not there. There's no forms of identification. The Norwegian police work closely with hotel staff to try to uncover as much information as they can about Jennifer to possibly, make this ID for her. So they dig in, they have more questions to ask, and they realize that during check-in, she hadn't needed to pay, like upfront, and this room was expensive. I told you it's a really nice hotel. It was about $339 then per night. She didn't leave a credit card. They didn't ask for any ID when she checked in.
So does that mean that somebody in the staff has something to do with this?
I don't think anyone in the staff has anything to do with it.
I'm just wondering, okay, how she got away. Well, you're going to let me know. You're going to let me know.
Well, I believe what happened is that it was really busy because I believe the way that it was described in the articles that I read about it was they would get like a rush of people at once, like when flights would land nearby.
Okay.
So, they would have like waves of customers or clients coming in, and maybe it was just overlooked. And I don't know. You think they'd have the paperwork that, you'd have to require it to be filled out, but whatever. So at this point, they're starting to realize that every detail that this woman gave at the front desk was false. So I told you on the registration card that she had to fill out, and she did fill it out herself. She left.
It was her.
Yeah,
yes, it was her. Yeah.
It was her that filled it out. The person that did the check-in confirmed that she wrote it, and she left a name. So I told you she had reserved the name Jennifer Fergate.
And then,
when she wrote out, it was Jennifer Fergate. So instead of Fair, it was Fer. And that's how she signed her name. She misspelled. So she's misspelling her name, number one. That's kind of weird. And they realized, too, that when she checked in, she wasn't alone.
There you go. And there's men's cologne.
Yes. And she checked in with a man whose name was listed as Louis Fairgate. So, and they supposedly had shown up together. Like one witness said she saw Jennifer with a man when they checked in, but I don't think anybody talked to him. So, they described Louis, guests as the hotel that had seen him, described him as a white man between the ages of 30 and 40. But there was no sign that he ever really stayed in the room, besides that bottle of cologne. There's no clothes. There's nothing.
Nothing
to indicate
a man's there.
No. And even the bedclothes, when she had checked in, they asked for another duvet, and it was never used. So when they went and investigated the room, it almost looked like, too, that nobody had slept there. Like,
this is so fucking strange.
I know.
What?
I know. And, they had put the do not disturb, or someone put the do not disturb sign, whether it was Jennifer or Lewis or who knows. Somebody put it on there. So housekeeping never came into the room to clean. And so the bed looked like it was never slept in, like it wasn't rumpled or, like normally. And even if you try to make it yourself.
Yeah, I can't make it like a maid.
Exactly. Like it's not.
Or housekeeping.
Yeah, like housekeeping. No, they make it look perfect, right? No, it looked perfect when they found her body. And they never even asked for change of towels. So housekeeping did not go anywhere near.
Nobody came in that room.
Nobody came in.
So they have cameras or anything?
They do, but it's not very helpful.
Diplomats, you're saying, or
I know, you would think, right?
But they do have it, but not helpful.
Yeah, not very helpful. All right. When the Norwegian police search the room, they do note that it's just bizarrely clean and tidy. And had it not been for those 2 bags that I told you about and the blazer hanging in the closet, there was just no indication anyone had even stayed there. There wasn't a toothbrush, a hairbrush. Okay, I'm just telling you, there was nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, just so you understand. And it's unknown whether Lewis stayed in the room with her. He was spotted by some guests accompanying her to the room on the day she checked in, but I don't think anyone saw him much after that.
And no one saw him leave?
Yes, no one saw him leave. Investigators now really have a mystery on their hands. Like, is this a suicide? Or, what's really going on? But they're concerned at this point. They're still trying to identify her. They hit this roadblock because they realized the address that she gave them was fake. And after searching Google Maps, I couldn't find the address. I mean, not that I'm familiar with Belgium. I've never been there, but I tried. And there's no street or house number. Doesn't match up. Even her place of work didn't exist. Service. So the question is, basically, what is going on here?
That's what you're going to answer for me.
Well, I don't know if I have too many answers.
What? Well, nobody likes.
So they start digging into trying to find out more clues about Jennifer. They realize that she spoke both English and German fluently. So it kind of makes sense. Maybe she was from Belgium because the official languages of Belgium are French, Dutch, and German.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you do.
Education.
The more you know. And by the 1990s, it was commonplace for a lot of Europeans to have learned English in school alongside their native language. Although, no comment on the type of accent that she had was ever made. Belgium also is split into 2 distinct regions. So there are distinct accents from those regions, but nobody really noticed with her German or her English. Shortly before her death, Jennifer made 2 calls from the hotel room.
Someone made some calls.
Yes. The numbers were identical except for 1 digit, but when investigators dialed those numbers, they received a dial tone. So neither of them existed. So
what?
I'm not sure who she was trying to call. And I don't know if she was trying to send a secret message. I don't know. Was she in distress and that's why she didn't get the number correct?
When were the calls made?
Shortly before she died, I think on the same day, that June 3rd. Okay. I believe. I could be wrong. So this case was also featured on Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, I love Unsolved Mysteries.
And
I don't know if we can say that.
I think so.
Okay.
Because it's one of the sources for this episode. Yeah. Okay. Unsolved Mysteries found out that she had made 2 calls to the hotel before she actually stayed there. The first one was on May 22nd when she initially booked her stay. And then the second was on May 31st when she changed her arrival date to be that same day. So I believe she was probably going to stay at a later date. And instead on May 31st, she said, I need to check in today. So I don't know why. And shortly before arriving at the hotel on May 31st, the day she checked in, she got there too really late. I guess it's not really late for some people, but it was about 10:44 p.m. So she had a late check-in. She informed the staff during her telephone call that she was going to be arriving late and that she would be coming with her guest, Louis Fairgate, whichever. When she arrived, like I told you, she wasn't asked to provide any ID.
Just go ahead. Here's the room.
And they let her check in. And there's even a spot like on the check-in card for a passport number. That wasn't taken. So no identifying information was really given. Police ended up checking flight logs from May 31st for either Jennifer or Louis Fairgate. And they weren't listed. That name was not listed on any passenger lists. During the first call that Jennifer made to the hotel on May 22nd, she spoke English. However, the second call, she spoke German.
How do they know that? There's all these people like coming and going from this hotel. How would they remember?
I have no idea.
Phone calls.
But they did. I don't know.
Like a week earlier. I don't know how they would remember.
And even though she said, she's coming with Louis, there's really no evidence that he even, like I said, stayed there. But he was there when she checked in.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned food, and there really was no evidence that really anybody ate anything in the room, except there were a few bags of chips that were open, and there was soda, pop. Coca-Cola. Pop. That there
Can
were.
you say that?
I know.
We're not getting sponsored here.
In the room. And then she did order room service at one point that I'll tell you a little bit about in a little bit. So there was one meal that she ordered, and that even leads to weird mystery questions. So I'm going to get into it. Investigators didn't initially look at the CCTV footage in the initial days after her death because they were working with the assumption that she had taken her own life. So they didn't initially check them out. Days after her body was discovered, that's when the autopsy took place. And in her autopsy report, the medical examiner noted that she probably wasn't 21, as she had stated on the sign-in card. They figured she was probably somewhere between 25 to 31. Another thing puzzled the coroner as well. Her hands had no blood or gunshot residue.
Well, okay, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're shooting a gun, you're going to have the residue.
You're going to have it, right?
Yeah.
So there's no mention ever of any gunshot residue being found on the sleeves of her clothing, on her hand, even though when her body was found, her hand was still on the gun and it was resting on her chest. So some people think that she probably wasn't alone in that room the day of her death, and she probably wasn't the one to pull the trigger.
Well, if you think about it, though, so somebody else pulls the trigger. First of all, you said there was like maybe a test, right? Shot. Why wouldn't she scream or run?
Right.
And then this person, if someone else pulls the trigger, you're taking a big risk because you have, like, there was somebody knocking at the door.
I know.
So how are you going to get out of there without being caught?
Exactly. How are you going to get out of there? That's why this is a crazy story.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know.
You have to solve it.
I can almost see the smoke coming out of your ears. Like you're just thinking, like the wheels are turning.
There's got to be more to it.
The wheels are turning. So
we have to solve this.
I know. And no, I don't think so because
I'm not a professional investigator.
I wish I would have went into that field, right? During her autopsy, her fingerprints are taken, but they do not look for forensic evidence like under her fingernails. They don't check to see if she had been raped. Like no rape kit is done. And I don't know if it's because they're just thinking it was a suicide. Well, I would think that the medical examiner
would know.
Would know, but
there was some sort of
I know.
rape.
I know. It's just strange. But they do take her fingerprints, and her fingerprints were run through Interpol, and no matches, of course.
So she doesn't have any criminal.
Not that, right. No criminal record that is known through Interpol.
But does Interpol go is every country? Would it run through every country in Europe?
That is a good question.
Sometimes I
believe so. I believe so. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, somebody will.
Yeah.
Somebody will fucking correct you if you're wrong.
Yes, absolutely. They've investigated all these different avenues. They've, given her an autopsy. They've searched the room. So now they're thinking maybe the gun will lead them, give them some sort of clue as to either who this person is or something.
It's got to be a serial number, right? I mean, right? Isn't there?
Yeah. So they investigate this Browning 9mm.
What kind of gun is that?
It's a pistol. It's a handgun.
Okay.
A 9mm bullet is rather large because
it is.
Yeah,
I thought it was small.
No. I don't think it's obviously the largest bullet, but I think it's a hefty size because the gunshot just didn't leave a little.
Okay.
A little damage. It left quite a bit of damage in the back.
Oh.
So, as they investigate this gun, they consult experts, and they were able to discern that the gun was made in Belgium between 1990 and 1991. And like I told you, they found these bullets. They found 25 bullets, and an additional 7 were in the gun. There was a serial number that was found on the gun, but it had been removed with acid.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
What?
I know. It is crazy. And the gun didn't seem to have all of its original parts. Like the barrel was an original to the gun, but I believe, I don't know the proper name for everything on a gun, but the handle part, I think was different. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's attached to the pistol or to the barrel, but it was like it was put together with a few different pieces from different types of gun. But the main part where the barrel where the bullet would have went through, that part was a Browning 9mm. Investigators say that the way that she shot herself, like I had described earlier, that was really confusing because they thought, if you shoot yourself in the forehead, you're still not going to have a grip on the gun because, like I said, the gun was found in her hand, that a 9mm would have a strong recoil.
Okay. And then
so it should have, right?
Flown off her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, someplace else than just be resting in her hand on her chest.
Exactly. Like it wouldn't have stayed. It just, would have probably it would not have been natural for her to be found in that position. When they did a dental exam during her autopsy, and I'm sorry I'm jumping around a little bit, but these details are crazy.
I'm following you.
Yeah.
I got it.
They realized that she did have expensive dental work done. She really took care of her teeth. She had gold and porcelain in her mouth, which was common throughout the United States at the time, but it was also common in some European countries such as the Netherlands, Germany, and Switzerland. I told you about that. She ordered a meal.
Mm-hmm.
So she had supposedly died on the 3rd. That's when the gunshot was heard by security. Then the day before, on June 2nd, 1995, she ordered bratwurst and potato salad through room service that was never paid for, much like everything else. And according to the coroner, the bratwurst was undigested, which points to 2 different possibilities. Either she died the evening of June 2nd and not the 3rd when security heard the gunshot, or she left the bratwurst sitting out for a day and ate it on June 3rd.
Gross.
Right?
Well, wouldn't he know the time? Wouldn't the coroner have an estimate of how long she was dead for?
That's a good question.
I mean, body temperature.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they didn't. I don't know. Maybe they didn't care.
I don't think they thought she was a suicide. I don't think
Right. Okay.
They really didn't do all the things that you're thinking. So I don't know. Did she let the food sit out for a day and not eat it?
I hope not.
I know. Right?
I don't know. Bratwurst. I don't know. Sitting out for a fucking day. No. No.
I know. Right? So why is it all digested? It should have been undigested.
Yeah,
yes,
undigested.
It should have been digested and gone, but it was undigested in her stomach when they did the autopsy. Well, whoever Jennifer was, or whoever killed her, obviously has gone to great lengths to conceal her identity. And this case just fascinated Norway when it happened. I mean, I'm fascinated, and it's like 28 years later, right?
You got to give me some answers.
I know. There was great public interest, but nobody ever came forward to claim her. Information about her case was additionally broadcast in Belgium, but again, there was no results.
No one in the world recognized her.
I know. This is bizarre. So, while searching through other guest records from May and June of 1995, Norwegian investigators came across another guest who claimed to have been from the same area that Jennifer said she was from in Belgium. And this man is known only as Mr. F.
Mr. F?
F like Fairgate. He was staying across the hall from Jennifer's room. He was in 2804. But bizarrely, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He knew she was dead even before supposedly news of her passing had ever broken. There was this really wonderful article that's online, and it is from a magazine called VG, and it's like Verdum Gang or Verten Gang. It's a Norwegian. Okay. It's like the biggest paper in Norway. And they do a whole in-depth, I mean, they even investigated this case like 20-something years later. And there's an interactive thing on it. So I will put it in the sources for this episode. But they end up tracking him down, like back in like 20, I think 16.
Mr. F, they tracked
Mr.
down
F, they found him. And he initially, like, they left several messages. He didn't want to talk to anybody. And when they finally got a hold of him, he talked very briefly. And he said, yes, he was at the hotel. He left. He checked out. He said he checked out, though, on the 2nd. But he said, like, Saturday, and I think maybe the 3rd was the Sunday. And he said, yeah, people at the front desk asked me, your room was across from the woman who died. Did you hear anything?
But that would have been
I know.
On the 3rd.
Right? But he insists he checked out the day before. So how did he know?
Well, wouldn't they know when he checked out? Isn't there a record?
Yeah, and I believe he checked out the day before. But he says the front desk asked him about it.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
No, and why would you make that up if it wasn't true? I don't know. Anyway. And he has not been heard from or seen again. And some people speculate that Mr. F was Louis Fairgate.
Why would they get 2 rooms?
I don't know. There's so many questions in this.
Yes, there are.
In this story.
Please
I know.
help me with
I wish I could just sew it up in a pretty little bow and be like, here's what happened. No, unfortunately. Yeah.
I don't like that, Tanya.
I know. I'm sorry. And
you have to go down the rabbit hole somehow, even more.
Trust me.
There's nothing more out there?
No.
How can it be?
There's tons of information out there. And like I said, there's even an Unsolved Mysteries episode, but it wouldn't be on Unsolved Mysteries if it had
That's
been
true.
solved, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they do follow-ups, I suppose, but...
when they're solved.
When they're solved, yes.
It doesn't happen that much on Unsolved Mysteries.
I know, and they're fabulous to watch. I mean, my mind is just blown. And my mind's blown by this story as well. In mid-1996, about a year after Jennifer had passed away, she was buried in an unmarked grave. No one but pallbearers were present. I mean, obviously, nobody... they couldn't find.
Nobody came.
Nobody came. And this case took another bizarre turn in late 1996 when the head police officer on the case ordered that all physical evidence that was collected
be destroyed. Don't say that.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
What's funny?
And it's not solved. Why would you destroy it so soon?
I don't know.
It's another question. Put a pin in that one too, because I don't have an answer. Several weeks into the investigation, the police did steer away from the idea that she had taken her own life. And so it was reclassified as a possible homicide. So I don't know why.
They would destroy evidence.
Yes.
Doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Especially so soon. afterward. There are theories as to what happened.
Okay, let's go through the theories.
Some people think that maybe she was a flight attendant who got mixed up in something that she shouldn't have. Many flight attendants travel with minimal luggage, and they wear black clothing, I believe, when off duty. I think it's probably just it travels easier. If Jennifer had been a flight attendant, it may explain why she'd only left her hotel room, because according to the records of like the key card or whatever you're given, she had only left the room and came back once.
She left the room?
Once.
Where'd she go?
I don't know if she left the room, but someone left the room.
Oh.
But if she had been a flight attendant, that would kind of make sense, because maybe if she had been on several long haul flights through several time zones, maybe she was catching up on her sleep.
Why were her tags removed from her clothes, though? Is that something flight attendants do?
I don't think so. I mean, do you ever take, I'm not a flight attendant, but have you ever taken tags out of your clothing? I do when they annoy me.
Yeah, when they annoy me, right? When they're itching and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, okay. But they think maybe she somehow got involved with drug traffickers or organized crime. Yeah, and maybe, came across the wrong person.
Well, how come when she's going into the hotel, she doesn't seem in distress?
Right. Yeah. It's question marks all around.
Tanya and Lynn Marie Jane, we'd like them solved.
And the theory that maybe she was killed by a professional, right? Like if she's involved in something like drug trafficking, like maybe, like I said, stumbles across something accidentally. And that would make a lot of sense on why her room was so clean. You know, it obviously, I mean, I don't know any, but if I'm assuming professional killers like clean the room and
they do.
I don't know. They're gonna like
they make
get rid
beds?
of. That's a good question. I mean,
what was she doing for 3 days? Do professional killers?
I know.
Keep their victims for days?
I know, right?
Did they find any drugs in her system?
Nope. Well, they did not test her system for drugs. They did test it for alcohol, and there was no alcohol in her system. So I can't say for sure whether she was drugged or not. But
yeah, because maybe she was drugged.
Maybe. The flight attendant theory kind of doesn't work because there's no documents that identify her.
When somebody from that works in the airline industry, coworkers recognize her.
That too, right? So I don't know, but and if she had been killed professionally, obviously the cleaner or whatever
would take the bullets.
I know. Why is there a bag full of bullets in her room?
And leave the bullet. Like, why is there a bullet under the bed?
Yeah, right. But then she also has a briefcase full of bullets. Yeah. Remember I told you it was like 25 bullets.
Yeah.
Why does she need so many bullets?
I don't know.
I know.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right? Or why were they left there? I don't know.
Oh, no.
Another popular theory is that she was a government spy who was assassinated. The ones that have reviewed, some people that have reviewed the original documents think that the way that she didn't kill herself and that the way she was killed was that she was held down on the bed, like laying down, and someone was on top of her and had her their knees on her shoulder.
Pinned down.
She's pinned down, and then they shot her in the forehead. But there's no sign of a struggle.
But like you said, could have been drugged.
Yeah, if she had been drugged, it's a possibility, right? And like I said, the coroner didn't check. It's also they think maybe she was a spy.
Yeah, a spy. Yeah,
a spy, and I guess it's common practice for government agents to remove tags in your clothing.
I did not know that.
To avoid being identified, because maybe the tags in your clothing, you're be able to identify where you bought them, and maybe.
But she left that one tag. But you said
it would have ruined it. And I mean, even in her shoes, like her shoes, they had said made in Italy in them, but there was no identifying tag of where they were from. But so as they're investigating, evidence that has been uncovered suggests that maybe she had been born or grew up in Germany.
Yeah.
And so during that time, they think maybe it was East Germany, and I'm not sure exactly why they think it was East Germany as opposed to West Germany, because, you know, this is before the Berlin Wall came down and Germany was unified. So this is 1995 when this is happening. And I understand, you know, this is right when all of that was happening in history, where the Berlin Wall came down just a few years prior. Yeah. So they're thinking maybe there was still like Soviet spies that were present in, you know, Germany, and they were working for the new government, and maybe, you know, she was a spy. But if she was a spy, why was she in Oslo, Norway, and why was she killed? So if maybe Lewis was her partner, like in the spy game, right?
This is getting deep.
I don't know. These are theories,
partner
right?
In the spy game.
Yeah, and maybe did she cross him and he killed her, or did she know too much? Who knows? Like, that's another theory, that maybe she was a spy for someone. In 2016, her body was exhumed and additional DNA samples were taken. Despite, though, advances in modern forensics, no matches have ever been made.
What?
But science has proved further clues to her identity. Scientists determined she was probably German.
Yeah.
And
they determined that by science?
Yeah, and that she was about 24 years old when she died. And how it was explained, okay, I'm not a scientist. I'm a lawyer. Either. I'm a lawyer, so I'm gonna stumble through this stupidly because I don't know all of the proper scientific terms. But through listen, I do remember the term. It was through carbon isotopes that were present in her teeth. And I believe it has to do with the air and when nuclear testing went off. Like if you were born, I know it's complicated, but they analyzed her teeth because when they exhumed her body, they took several of her teeth. They could figure out that she was probably grew up in Germany, and they can figure out how exactly old you are, give or take a year. And they determined she had probably been born in 1971 or 72. So she was about 24 when she died. They did run her DNA through Interpol.
Yeah, you said, like I said, nobody out there.
And so no one's even come forward, right, to claim her. And they have done like a beautiful artist rendition that is the on the cover of this week's episode. And I
haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it yet. They do a face shot, and the same artist did a body shot. Also, there was an artist rendition of like a real life photo of what she looks like. It's not an autopsy photo.
Well,
it's a composite, right? It's a composite, and it's it's not like a full on like photo, but it's like I know. I'm sorry, I'm saying it way too much, but it's more from the side. But she does look like the composite photo a lot. So who knows? I can't believe nobody has come forward to claim her.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah. One last theory I'm going to leave you with.
Okay.
Is that maybe, I think I did tell you that she was a professional assassin. But I told you she was a spy. Another theory is that she was a professional assassin. And,
wow.
Yeah.
24-year-old professional assassin.
I know, it sounds really badass,
what
right?
What the hell?
Right? Like
what do you do for a living? I'm a professional
assassin. Well, I'm sure she had to say, if she was an assassin, I'm sure she'd have to say,
I'm a flight attendant.
I'm a secretary. I'm a flight attendant. I'm, whatever. But then again, maybe she was just really depressed and killed herself. I don't know. I don't think that's what happened, though.
There'd be the residue, the gunshot.
Right. But then how was her hotel room locked from the inside?
And where are her pants?
I know. And underwear. Yeah, I don't know. It's the craziest story. So, but if somebody watches this or hears this and it kind of like, I think maybe I knew who she was. If you have any information, you can give journalist Lars Christian Wegner of the Verdens Gang. That's that newspaper that I told you, VG. His number is 4722000306.
What?
It's in Norway. It's in Norway, girl. It's not like our phone numbers. Or you can email Jennifer at VG.NO, the country code NO for Norway.
Oh.
So now you're going to leave here and you're like, what the hell? You're going to be thinking about Jennifer Fergate for the rest of your life. And trust me, there is a rabbit hole that you can go down.
Yeah.
Because I went down it. I've spent hours.
Wow.
Hours on this case.
We need to figure out who she is.
Yes.
We have to.
Yes. And I'm just surprised, like, they haven't done familial.
Well, that's what I thought you said they did.
I don't think they've done that.
I thought you said they did.
No, I don't think they've done that. I think they've run her specific DNA through systems and they've tried to find her.
But not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe they still have to do that. It would be nice.
That's what I was thinking. How could nobody, even like
there has to be someone.
Somebody.
I know. I mean, my 23andMe, I've got like 6 cousins and stuff like that. Somebody, right? I don't know. But anyway. Well,
we don't have all the answers.
I wish I did because this is a fascinating story. Fascinating. I just hope she gets identified someday. Someday. And the people at VG are really invested in this story.
And if she could get identified, then it would increase the likelihood of we could figure out what happened to her.
What happened to her.
Happened.
But maybe somebody doesn't want her to be identified. A government agency. I don't know. Look, I'm being all conspiratorial here.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, if she was a spy or if she was an assassin, I'm sure, I don't know. They did stuff to make sure she was never identified. But anyway.
You think that they would have destroyed, I mean, I'm not trying to be gruesome, but her face or something to help. And fingerprints. But I guess that there is no connection. Like, they can't trace it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I know. Anyway, well, thank you all for watching and listening to this week's episode. We really appreciate it. So until our next episode.
Don't kill each other.
Bye.
Bye.